when you put a record out, you know, they always kept you at bay for making money, and I believe that they had a lot, you know, Marshall Chess and Maurice, Levy had a lot to do with setting up the template for how to stop artists from making money. You know, if it looked like a record was going to sell 100,000, you'd print 200,000. And it wouldn't cost the record company that much to print the extra 100,000, but then they would charge you back immediately, and you would owe the money right away for the extra $100,000 records that you might not sell. So you were always in a state of owing money. You know?
If you had the access to have your records played, that would mean royalties would come in. And if royalties came in, you know, the person who gets the most, and I'm assuming for the 60s and early 70s, would always be the record company and the publisher. And then somewhere down here, the writer and the artist get their little piece of that pie.
A lot of people gave up their publishing. They gave up a lot to have a record deal. You know, they gave up everything.
But when you're talking about in the 50s, you had a lot of these independent labels that were going up against them. And you see the stories of the guys the doo-wop bands, who their manager makes a record, and then he's got cases of them in the back of his car, and they go around to record stores, and they go around to DJs, and, you know, put a couple of $100 or $50 at the time.
They controlled the jukeboxes, they controlled, you know, the Billboard charts. So, you know, and when my time came into the fray there, it was sort of like at the back end of what they were doing, because I wasn't necessarily involved, but, you know, this was pretty major notorious stuff, you know. I mean, these guys controlled everything and stopped all the artists and everybody else from making any money except for them. It was actually pretty brilliant.
The big thing were the jukeboxes. You wanted your records in the jukeboxes. So, if you think about it, who owned the jukeboxes? It was the guys. You know, they had that back in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And then probably until the 70s. If you had a record that you wanted to have it played, and the guy who ran that area, they liked it, you know, they used to be their own A&R men, you know, and if they liked it, or if, you know, sales for that song were good, they'd put it in the jukebox. And who gets the money from the jukebox before anybody does? The guys, you know, and then they say, yeah, your record was played 400 times last month. Well, it was really played, you know, 2,500 times last month. So they give you your allotment for that, and you're happy. But your record gets played, and you hope then that the kid goes from the wherever the luncheonette where they heard your record, would then go to the record store and buy your 45, hopefully, or your album or whatever.
It was New York business stuff, music business stuff. We knew this. So stay away from those guys, but if you want to have a hit, you know.
Look, if we start a record label, we can get the bands to sign to the label, we get that money. We have our own, I don't know what the deal was with that, but even if they have their own the musician has their own publishing, they still got to go through our publishing company, so we get a piece of that too. And they get that. And, you know, we get the money before they get the money, so we'll determine how much they get. And, you know, I mean, there was a lot of that. There was, you know, you press 100,000 albums, but you only show the artist that you pressed 30,000 albums. So when the money comes in, you only got to pay them royalties on 30,000 albums, not on 100.
You know, here, let's always keep them owing us money. We're the bank, you know, so we're the credit card company. So let's charge them double for tour support. So it was really interesting stuff, you know.
And the sad part is, even when those acts came looking for the money that was due, half the time they got screwed out of that, or they only got, you know, dimes on a dollar of what they should have gotten.
You know, you're getting robbed everywhere you look by everybody at all times. But those guys they had a really good thing going on. You know, I mean, we do miss them to some degree, because they were the guys that would get you on the road, and they would, you know, you could go out and they'd give you tour support, and, you know, and you'd owe the tour support, but at least you'd be out there playing. And Nowadays, you can't always do it.
Some of the songs that his artists recorded to be hits. You know, some of them are the soundtrack of our lives in the 60s and early 70s.
Everything cool.